operation near it, or like, yeah.
Because they're evacuated.
Hi.
I mean, there's one down the block from me, actually.
I know that Jack's not here, but Jack's never on time, so let's make the most of it. So first of all, thank you everyone for coming. We are recording this just because we said we would, and I've just spilled coffee down my shirt, so that's even a nicer touch. So just very broadly, what's this project about? So this project is about automating the flow of the collection of information about planning applications and feeding it through the planning system so that we end up with an analysable data set that for the first time gives us a clear lifetime picture of the impact of development, how much development is being granted, and a number of other measures. So the purposes of this show and tell is actually for us to show you the technological solution that's operating behind it. There's lots of stuff out there on the internet about the data we're looking to collect. But first of all, I need to introduce who my team are, and they've all disappeared. So behind the camera is Simon, our delivery manager. Craig is just here, one of our project officers, and we've all met Alex on the way up because she's been doing some running. And then from the Atkins side, you have
Angus Kelly.
Jack Metcalf, hi. Will Square.
And as the voice on the screen, we have
Mark Carroll.
There we go. So
And Colin Henderson.
Oh, hello, Colin. So the way this is going to work is we're going to give you a brief, Angus is going to give you a brief overview of where we've gone with the project, where they are now, and then at the end of this, Colin or Mark are going to give us a presentation showing us in practice where we are with our initial version of Kibana, which will enable us to analyse data. Okay, so that's everything I've got to say. Over to you, Angus.
Great, hi. I'm actually going to be taking you through a sway page. So we've got a sway page that's set up. It's basically going to be a live document. It's going to give us a running account of the way in which the project is running. It's been put out on Twitter feeds and LinkedIn feeds, and it's going to be linked onto the GLA website, I believe, as well. So I'd encourage everybody to engage with it and keep a running check on how the project is proceeding. So I'm going to use it as a bit of an aid memoir while I'm talking through. Peter's basically given us an overview of the purpose of the project. So the first stage that we undertook was essentially around discovery. So the first 3-week phase involved a series of interviews with people that were from the local boroughs, from the LDD data offices, from the GLA themselves. We had representatives from planning consultants, representatives from third parties, that may include people like utilities, would be ultimately consumers of data. And the purposes of those initial insight interviews was to understand what the status quo is, what people's frustrations were with understanding the London Development Database and understanding the current status of planning data, any obvious opportunities potentially to improve that, and what the current challenge, what the future challenges may be. And so, having undertaken our initial discovery, we then subsequently wanted to validate our initial insights in a workshop. So we staged a workshop. We had around 40 people attending, and there are people from local boroughs, MHCLG, from utilities, and that was really to deepen our understanding of our initial insights. And to ultimately to boil down those insights into a series of personas, so we can understand what people's motivations were, what their drivers were, what their goals were, what their frustrations were, so that we could ultimately distill those down into a series of user stories, and then to prioritise their needs. And the reason why we did that was essentially so that we could feed those into a development backlog, to then pass over to the development team to then subsequently iterate through the solutions. So following the workshops, then we had a series of other sort of in-depth working sessions. So we had a session with the South Hams, West Devon and South Hams team, where we where we further probed into some of the detail, where we kind of went into some of the technical depth that perhaps wouldn't have been appropriate to do in a workshop. And there we started to hone in on some specific challenges and some requirements. So things like plot level resolution, understanding where there is sort of superseded or partially superseded permissions, and the ability to forecast commencements and completions, those kind of things. So the users broadly fell into three categories of data providers, data consumers, and people that were the administrators of the database themselves. And then considering those three buckets, or epics as we're calling them, we distilled those down into a series of personas. So that was taking all of the intelligence from the interviews, from the workshops, and then from the subsequent working sessions. And I'm not going to go through every point here, but just to give you a flavour, these have been circulated already and they will continue to be available to everybody. And so just to give you a bit of a flavour, we're really sort of interested in giving an overarching description of the type of profile, the objectives of different users, what their goals, frustrations and motivations were, from a variety of different epics. So here with data consumers, then we've got providers, and then third-party consumers like utilities, and how they could potentially be using data and what their requirements are. We then, based on that information, and also through the course of the workshop, we essentially boiled those down into a series of prioritised needs and requirements. So that was very much along the template of I would like to do this because. So like who wants to do what and why, and then to prioritise those in terms of what the minimum viable product for the alpha stage must do, and then what the subsequent should have and could have to do for subsequent iterations and development. And so as I say, they all fed into a development backlog. Jack's going to be taking us through the progress of the subsequent sprints, and we'll be able to reflect on some of our learnings on the way and describe how we've actually managed to pivot around some of the challenges that are thrown up through the development space. So, thank you.
Yeah, so having done a quite relatively detailed discovery phase, we working with Colin and Mark, we basically came up with a bit of I guess a vision for what the solution might look like from a technical perspective. And as you can see on the screen here, this is kind of end-to-end process that we kind of imagined it to be like. So I won't go into too much technical detail, but we're sort of talking about back office systems here, existing in local planning authorities, automatically pushing data to a sort of ingestion engine that's called Logstash. That eventually moved into a sort of database, which is then visualised through a front-end element called Kibana, which Mark and Colin will give you a demo of very shortly. We also sort of considered the future state of the solution here as well. So you can see the stuff in green, where we've kind of got, I guess, future applications that may use this data set. So we may have SMEs, we may have system coders who want to use this data to create kind of value-add applications based on planning data. And in addition to that, there may be additional databases that exist in the kind of ecosystems data that we might want to start bringing into Elasticsearch in the future. And then this red area that you see up here is very much the kind of open public interface that we're going to test in the alpha. Which is very much kind of I guess a copy of what is here, but in a kind of read-only environment, so the public can really engage with the data. They can create their own dashboards, so they can kind of use data for their own needs as well. So this was our kind of initial vision. It's subsequently kind of evolved and iterated as we've gone through some of the development, as you would expect. So we started development a little over a month ago. So sprint 1 ended about 2 weeks ago, and as part of that sprint, as you can see, we kind of it was very much about getting up to speed with technology, so Elasticsearch technology that we were using. It was about understanding the technical specifications and all of the new data and new fields that we expected to come through the system. And also to define a data model from the database so that we could then share that with back office providers and the likes of the planning portal or other submission portals so that they could provide the data in the format that we needed. So we were able to complete all that in sprint 1 in 2 weeks, which was great. I guess our key kind of learnings from that sprint was yes, we can use the elastic stack. Our developers, Mark, Sam, and Colin, were very much more familiar with its capabilities and how to use it. We had a sort of Docker environment set up so we could start testing with it. But we also learned that the technical specification needed a bit more sort of refinement, and there were a few kind of issues that needed some consultation with the planning portal and also with the team here at GLA. So a good example of the data model that we find. Another thing just to highlight is obviously part of this working practice is all about having sort of retrospectives as well, so we do have a retrospective at the end of our sprint. What went well, what went badly, what could we do better, I guess working as a team. And this is just sort of highlighting some of the key things that came out of that retrospective. So more co-location, but keep up with the enthusiasm and momentum from everyone in the team. After sprint one, we had a bit of a little bit of a roadblock. We kind of realised that the timelines for the back office system to kind of implement these changes weren't quite aligned with the timescales that we were sort of sprinting on. So we kind of decided that there may be a workaround route where we actually take data from the planning portal directly, who would make the changes, and then we supplement that data with sort of existing data that exists in back office systems. So that still meant that we could produce a system that would be applicable and suitable to all local planning authorities. But we also seek to still prove out this full solution of the automated process with the likes of Arcus, for example, who needs to do that. So we spent some time with Arcus, trying to understand the sort of technology that they have. I guess this kind of image depicts those kind of two routes that we're currently going down in terms of development. So taking data direct from the planning portal and then supplementing that with the back office systems. And then proving out that full ingesting all of that data through a sort of push mechanism from Arcus's platform. So at the same time, we carried on with our sprint. We had our second sprint, which ended today. And within that, we planned to do a few things. We planned to consume XML from the planning portal, which is the way we thought the data might be coming in from the planning portal. Refine our data model, and actually importantly consume some of the historical recurrent data that exists in the LDD, so that we can actually start to visualise some of that and look at the ground and what its capabilities were. We wanted to prove that we could take data from Arcus's system to an HTTP endpoint, for example, and also some of the issues around geographically transforming data and making sure that everything was in the correct coordinate system, things like that. So that's been, again, some really good positive learnings. We weren't able to consume any data from planning portal because it wasn't quite ready for that sprint. But nonetheless, we've updated the data model, which we're going to share. We've got historic data ingested, transformed, and put into the system in Kibana that we can look at. And we've also proven that HTTP pipeline actually works. So once we start working with Arcus, then that's something that's sort of set up and ready to go. So I guess the key learnings from that sprint was the technology that we're using, the technology stack that we're using was definitely suitable for the system going forward. But we needed a bit more certainty on how the sort of workaround route with the planning portal was actually going to work. So we actually put development on pause for a couple of weeks, where we kind of go sort of focus our efforts a bit more on discovery, particularly around the sort of technical aspects of that workaround route. So sitting down with the planning portal, sitting down with IDOTS and Arcus to actually, I guess, get into the sort of nitty-gritty detail of how that sort of ingestion of data will work going forward. So that's pretty much where we're at so far. I'm going to hand over to Mark and Colin now, who are on Skype, who are going to give us a quick, I guess, show and tell on what we've produced so far. And then I guess we can sort of open up to a bit of discussion and conversation. Mark, can you hear us?
I can. I'm just going to start the screen share. So it's come through.
Yeah, we can see that.
Okay, so there's a few things that we've put together, just mainly for the sort of demonstration of what we've done so far. As Jack said, most of the stuff that we've got to work with is actually the historical data. So we've pulled through, I think it's about 100,000 records so far from the historical database. And then we've got a few maps, just to sort of show, in this particular case, the planning authorities that they're linked to. So this is kind of a chloropeth heat map for the actual number of permissions per planning authority. So you can see some of these have got more than others. Obviously Ealing's quite a lot, 3,484, whereas Hillingdon only 1,368. And obviously as we zoom in on the map, get a bit more information out. So each of these dots or points is a permission that we've got through, and there's a few different bits of information that we can pull out. I think Jack's going to have some work to work out exactly what information we've got available in the historical database and how that's going to map across to the new system. But some of the stuff that we can pull through, obviously things like the permission types and the amount of affordable housing that came through as part of the work. So we've got that set up. There's a street map as well, just to give it some sort of idea of whereabouts you are if you're not familiar with the areas. So we've done that one for the planning authorities. We've got a similar one set up for the boroughs, and then there's also one for the wards as well. There's a few in here, possibly because it's historical data, that the names of the wards that we've got in our system don't actually match what was in the historical system. So we can do a bit of data cleanup on some of these bits, but depending on what you're after, we can obviously put our efforts around that. Any questions on the maps so far? Stunned silence.
Pretty good, Mark.
Okay, so moving on to the sort of dashboard effect. This is the number of permissions that we've got, and I've split it down into the particular boroughs, and then we've got the permission types as well. And what we can actually do on the Cabana is, if we click on, say, Croydon, we can then get it to then filter around, and we can then see the permission types specifically for Croydon itself. Again, if we want to click off that, we can then see it. And then again, we've got another heat map, so we can actually go in and find out whereabouts the main areas are that have actually had the permissions. And then another little bit we've got here is just some sort of date series. So this is the permission start versus the request for the permission, just so we can see some kind of information through on that. And one of the other things I've got, just to take that a little bit further, so a little chart that I don't think Jack's seen yet, because I managed to knock this up this afternoon, just around the sort of top 10 affordable housing by the planning authority. So the blue lines or blue bars are the individual or the totals from the top 10 planning authorities, and then the orange line is the actual total in between. So you can actually